Most people think you need professional art supplies to pull off some really good art. I'm here to prove that wrong. With a $2 box of crayons, let's jump in. I believe we do our best work when we're in a childlike mindset. This is why I chose a toy. This is Swoop, a transformer that transforms into a robot. And this is one of my favorite action figures. And I also chose crayons, which takes us back to childhood. Another reason I chose Crayon is just because of the waxy nature of it. I knew it wasn't going to be easy to work with. A lot of people say that watercolor is the hardest medium to work with, and I actually found that Crayon was a little harder to work with. Although, don't get me wrong, it was very fun. I had a lot of fun doing this drawing. And one tip I would like to bring up is that you want to have fun with your work. You know, if you don't have fun with it, then what's the point? And one of the ways that I have fun is to wonder what's actually going to happen. This is what I tell all of my students. Here's a pro tip. Don't go into your work having any preconceived ideas of what the outcome is going to look like. Because as I started to create this, I got to tell you, I had no idea what it was going to look like. And I was even asking myself, am I going to upload this to my YouTube because it may not even look good, right? But I was determined to make it look good. That's kind of like the challenge nature that I have. I'm always trying to figure out how I can make something work versus saying, oh, this won't work, right? So when I started in, I was having quite a few difficulties. The main difficulty was making one color show up on top of another color, like layering the colors because it's wax. And so that right there was probably the hardest part. The other hard part was, again, I can't press on the crayon too hard. And the normal way that I draw and work is I press really hard on my supplies just because I like those bold thrashing lines. As I was working on this, I literally was thinking to myself, damn, I wonder what this is going to look like in the end because, because this is such a new medium to me for me to use. And did it take me back to a childlike place? It sure did. Being able to use the crayons immediately put me into a child place in my mind to where it was just fun right off the bat. Whether the drawing came out nice or whether it came out not looking good, I would say that the process of doing it was super, super fun. Being that I use crayon didn't really make me approach this a whole lot different than I would normally approach an illustration. I basically just laid down the outer contour of the work. Then I blocked in large sections of color, and then I added the details. This is typically how I work. It doesn't really matter what medium I use, whether it's watercolor, acrylics, oil. You usually start off with the outer contour, whatever you're doing, and then you start blocking in the masses, and then you start putting in the details later. Another thing I'll say is that even though crayons aren't as blendable as colored pencils, it's all about how you observe what you're looking at and how you decide to go about depicting it. One of the things that I also learned is that I couldn't do a whole lot of scrubbing on top of a color, so I would do more zigzag scrubbing. My favorite part was putting the black lines over any other colors because the black always showed up really well. If I stroked over an area of black too many times, then it would start to just kind of mash into the work and I wouldn't really be able to see it too good. So if you go over another color like once, maybe twice, you'll be able to see it. But if you keep scrubbing over the same color, with a different color, then it's going to start to just blend into the color that was up under, and you won't really see the difference that much. One thing that I will say is that when using pressure to create contrast and shading, that was probably the most trickiest part of doing this work, is because for two reasons. One, because the crayon will break if you press on it too hard. The other reason is that usually when you're using another medium and you press really hard, you will get more of that color on top of the color that you're working over, right? But with crayon, the harder you press, the more it's going to reveal the color up underneath. So your first stroke may put down a darker blue, but then after that, if you keep pressing hard, the lighter blue that's up under is actually going to show through the more harder you press. So you're kind of wiping out the dark that you put down over a lighter color and revealing the lighter color up under. That was the trickiest thing that I must say that I had to deal with dealing with crayon. And it was really fun trying to figure that dance out, right? You know, trying to figure out, how do I do this without disturbing what I've already put down and also adding to that so that the aesthetics come out right. So I also found that I had to use different colors that I wouldn't normally use. Sometimes I would use them when mixing colors and paints. So for example, this red, in order to go darker, I used like a purple over the red to make a darker shade of red or a darker section. Whereas I would normally use a darker red. So if I were using like a vermilion, then I would go to an alizarin crimson to go darker with the red. But in crayon, that there was no darker red, so I had to use a purple to create darker section. So we've all heard it before, right? Product over process, right? So the end result matters more than the material. It doesn't matter if you're using crayons. You could actually take a burnt piece of wood and scrub that onto a canvas or a wall, and you can make a mark with that. You could take a crayon, you could take anything. It doesn't really matter. So it's not about the materials that you use. And that's what this was all about. It's about having fun with art. What I learned here is that drawing is about thinking and seeing, not the tools. Crayons are just wax and pigment, but it's really your skills that makes the difference. So if you want to learn how to draw with confidence, whether it's with crayons or digital tools, I have a coaching program and an online course to help you level up your skills super fast. The link is in the description. I gotta be honest, I don't do this all the time. I just decided spur of the moment, I'm gonna draw with crayons. I just wanted to show you what can be accomplished with what most people see as kiddie supplies. It doesn't really matter what you use, it's all about the fundamentals. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.